over again. John Sopel, BBC News, Washington.
Well, I'm joined now by Kamran Bokhari, Director of Analytical Development at the New Lines Institute in Washington. Great to have you on the program, Mr. Bokhari. President Biden has just said in that speech that the whole point of the U.S. involvement in Afghanistan was about containing the terror threat, and that the terror threat has grown past Afghanistan. That's the justification, so to speak, for pulling U.S. troops out. Could he come to regret that statement?
Well, look, I mean, nobody can actually predict the future. If we look back at what happened in Iraq, we pulled forces out when President Biden was vice president in 2011, only to have to go back 3 years later, not at the same scale, of course, but with 5,000 or so troops to fight ISIS. That may happen down the road in Afghanistan because, look, at the end of the day, this country is far more shattered than Iraq is. Iraq at least has a state, even if it is weak and under the influence of the Iranians. But here we have utter anarchy, as was demonstrated by the utter collapse of the state that we spent 20 years building.
Yeah, America's top military general, Mark Milley, we're already hearing comments from him that the return of the Taliban in Afghanistan could accelerate the potential threat from Islamist terrorist groups using Afghanistan as their base. How worried are you about this?
I am worried. I am worried because it's not just Afghanistan. It's Pakistan next door as well, which, has a huge extremist current within society. The Afghan Taliban enjoy strategic depth. There are transnational jihadists inside Pakistan and in Afghanistan. So this could become a sort of a singular battle space in a worst case scenario where the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan is disregarded, as was the case with ISIS when essentially it moved back and forth from Syria and Iraq. I'm not saying that that will happen here because Pakistan is a robust state with a large army, even if it has its problems. But I can see large parts of Pakistan on its western flank becoming the scene of growing extremism and terrorism.
Mr. Bokhari, could there have been another solution for the United States? For instance, President Biden presented this as a straight binary choice, stay or go. But could they have kept more troops on the ground the way we see in South Korea, for instance?
No, I don't think that there's a parallel. South Korea is a completely different story. You have a nuclear-armed neighbor that is very hostile and backed by China. With artillery aimed at Seoul, and that reality hasn't changed. So I think that you can't make that kind of an analogy. Now, to answer your question, look, there were a lot of things that went wrong going all the way back to the Bush administration. We could have definitely done this far, far, far better, but we didn't. That doesn't mean that you keep troops, for an undetermined period of time with no hope of a solution. So I think that the president is right there. But what I think that the president isn't talking about is with what his administration did in terms of executing the final pullout, then the whole botched operation to pull out, close the embassy and get people out.
Kamran Bokhari, Director of Analytical Development at the New Lines Institute in Washington, thank you for joining us on Newsday.